Ben Costanzo from Plant-Based Mafia. Welcome. So I guess the question was why I went vegan, right? 2017, dealing with some very bad back pain, and went to a specialist to find out what was going on, and I fractured my spine. I knew nothing about veganism. I knew nothing about what the food really did to the body. And when I went to the specialist, they wanted to do surgery. Put a rod in my spine, which was my L2 lumbar. I turned it down, went home, did some really deep dive research into injuries like I had, and everything kept coming back to inflammation, inflammation, inflammation. So I went raw, which was very radical when you think about food, because I'm a foodie, so I love to eat. That's just my game, right? Grew up at 100% Italian. Everything was meat-based, dairy, you name it, cheese. It's how I grew up. Once I went raw, that was about 2 months. And to kind of make a long story short, not only did I not have any pain anymore in my spine, but I did a 63-mile bike marathon. Changed my life. I was told by a specialist, literally one of the top spine specialists in the world, to get this surgery, and I turned it down. Realizing that food was the major issue of my pain, that's where it was coming from, it was the catalyst of it, then I realized that food is either going to be poison or it's not poison, and like they say, the old saying, body and mind. And once your body is healed, your mind is healed. And that's kind of what happened to me, and I got stronger, healthier, younger, changed my life. And what I wanted to do was just kind of give back the message, let people know you could eat this way and feel much better. What changed in my life after going plant-based? So, I mean, there's a few parts to that. For one, let's just say when you have an injury that I did, I was pretty angry most of the time, okay? And a lot of people are when they're in constant pain. So even my marriage, there was issues with that because I was in pain and I was angry at the world. So right then and there, once the pain went away, when it dissipated, my marriage changed. I became happier, my wife was happier, my life was happier. Then I also brought this to my friends who had diabetes, friends that were overweight, their lives changed. So seeing my life change in my own home, then seeing my friends around, their lives being changed by eating plant-based, it changed my world, right? And again, I wanted to give this to as many people as possible, to anyone who can hear it. My children. Yeah, so I think if you watch the society that's happening right now, I think we're dealing with children who are more overweight than they've ever been in society. Now, does it have to do with food? I think so, some of it. And also, you know, our kids are so embedded into technology right now, they don't go out and exercise as much. So if they're not going to exercise and they're eating the same fatty foods that they have out, they're going to be overweight as children. So kind of pushing even children or pushing parents to teach their children how to eat healthy and eat plant-based, their kids are going to be healthier. So it started in my family as well. Well, so challenges. Me being Italian, I loved my chicken parm, I loved my meatball parmesan, I loved steaks, I loved all that stuff, chicken. That was a challenge for me. It was a huge, huge problem. Being that was an issue, my brother and I, we decided to come up with plant-based Italian food to kind of change that game. Good food. So you got to bring them something familiar. So again, getting people to cross over the threshold. Humans have been eating this way since the beginning of time, right? So when you take their food away from them, they're not happy, right? Or they're just not going to cross that threshold when they think they're just eating string beans and Brussels sprouts and lettuce and all that stuff. And that's kind of what the perception that they get. So when you bring to them something like we have, from the meatballs to the burgers to the chicken parm, that gets them to kind of cross that threshold and try that food. And when they do, they're kind of thrown for a loop. They can't believe that food could taste like this in the vegan industry. No, but they, it was very hard because when my son is 9 years old, my daughter is 6, and I went vegan 4.5, close to 5 years ago. My kids were already eating pizza and chicken nuggets and stuff like that. So it was hard to kind of change them at a young age, but they're now eating broccoli all the time. They don't drink milk. They drink almond milk. So I've kind of gotten them like 50-50. So if they want a hot dog or they're going to get chicken nuggets or something like that, can't stop them from doing that, or a pizza here and there. But they love salad, they love broccoli, they drink almond milk. So I've kind of switched them over 50%. But my theory with that is, as they get older, they're going to start eating healthier and healthier and healthier, and probably eventually be fully plant-based. That I didn't start this earlier. Yeah, that's my biggest regret. But then again, if I started early, I probably wouldn't have the food I have now, because not eating plant-based for so long gave me an understanding of what food is, or what kind of that Italian food tastes like, or what it's supposed to taste like, and that kind of gave me the insight on what to make vegan plant-based food taste like. So yeah, and here we are. I didn't know much about it, and again, I from my whole life, I loved the food I was eating. And I could not see myself eating any other way. Yes, 100%. I mean, again, I had the perception that eating plant-based or eating vegan was constantly just eating greens and Brussels sprouts and string beans. I think recently the industry has changed from like the Beyond Meat and the Impossible and the Gardeins and all that stuff. They changed the game where they have now chicken and meatballs and burgers, so they made it possible for people to see food that is familiar. And I think years ago, it wasn't like that. It was, you were eating beans and, bean burritos and bean burgers and things like that. So it would have been very difficult for me to cross that threshold then than it is now. And I think it's easier now, especially since 2020. I also think people are a lot more health conscious now. Since the pandemic, and they're willing to actually go over and try something that's healthier. Not really. Not really. Slowly. I would see, but that's kind of there's a lot more parts to that. I think it comes down to people's health, right? A lot of people, if they have diabetes, if they have underlying health issues, I suggest to start it quickly and really kind of cross over and do it faster than, sooner than later. But I think people could kind of cross over slowly just by eating at a restaurant like ours at Plant-Based Mafia. I think just by trying the burger here, the meatball parmesan, the chicken piccata, the marsala, and even the pastas. Yeah. So yeah, one of the success stories that I love talking about is my brother. My brother Dan is also my partner. He's kind of the one who created this whole idea and the concept. And he was diagnosed with heart disease at 41 years old. He went to a place called Hippocrates in West Palm Beach. Spent a few months there, and doing the plant-based doctor, he also followed some prominent doctors as well. He was able to reverse that. And by reversing heart disease, it was a big deal because heart disease runs in my family. And we came up with the theory that everyone talks about, it's in your DNA, or if your parents had heart disease, or your grandparents had heart disease, or cancer, or things like that, it kind of runs in your family. Well, I think the theory that we kind of came up with is that that's probably not true. I think it's the trends that you did as much as your family did. So when you woke up and you had cheese and you had milk and you had all that stuff, you ate just like your family did. So if that affected them back in the day, sure, it's going to affect you now the same way. So I don't believe it's hereditary. I don't. That's kind of my theory. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of my theory. Other than mine and my friends, my friend had diabetes. Once he did it, and he was also extremely very Italian, and he could not even see himself eating that way. He started out with medication. He was diagnosed at a very young age of diabetes. And when I put him on the diet, let's just say within 45 days, like me, he called me up and he thanked me for changing his life. He said the only thing that he was upset about is that for all this time, I believe it was like 25 years that he was dealing with it, is that the doctors didn't tell him all he had to do was just change his diet. Oh God, so going plant-based, I've found so many fun foods, but having a nutritionary diet, waking up in the morning, I love eating oatmeal, like steel oats, and I like putting blackberries in it with some chia seeds and hemp seeds, and maybe putting a teeny bit of brown sugar and a little bit of maple on it, agave rather. Yeah, and that's how I wake up in the morning, and maybe have a banana, a snack after that, but try not to take in as much sugar as possible. So lunch, got to make sure you get in some protein. So I like having a nice salad, but getting in my nuts in the salad with some tomatoes and some plant-based cheese I'll throw in there and all that stuff, yeah. No, definitely not. Never. Matter of fact, one of our lines that we have on our wall is we don't whack animals, we whack plants. For one, I didn't really think about the killing of the animals before I went plant-based. When I went plant-based, of course, I watched a lot of documentaries that kind of pushed me to understand what was in the food, and then I started to see what they did to the animals, so that also changed me. And absolutely not, would never go back to eating animals again. I'd rather die. No, I definitely would not, because if a doctor told me I had to eat animals to survive, he would be wrong, 100%. What is that?
Lab grown.
Lab grown?
If you don't know what it is, just give it.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't consider myself a vegan rather. I consider myself plant-based, and the only reason why I say that, and obviously the traits that I follow is what vegans do, right? Because we love animals, we love the world, we love the planet and all that stuff like that, so that's great. But the reason why I went plant-based was to be extremely healthy. And there are a lot of vegans out there who eat extremely unhealthy. So I don't follow the trend of eating vegan. I follow the trend of eating plant-based. Sure. I mean, ask me about the name. Where did I come up with Mafia? So, I mean, everyone asks me, listen, we understand plant-based, but where did you come up with the name Mafia? So I do believe, look, everyone loves the Mafia, right? They love, The Godfather, Sopranos. My uncle Greg actually was in The Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire. His name was Greg Antonacci. Passed away about 1.5 years ago. God rest his soul, he was amazing. But a lot of people don't know the heritage of the name, the background of Mafia, right? So the name Mafia, it derives from mafioso and mafioso. And that means swagger, bold, and beautiful. And that's kind of how we look at our food. We got swagger in our food, we got boldness, and it's beautiful. Italian, authentic Italian food. So we have a marinara that's been a staple in my family for many years. It's called Sweet Heat Marinara. 80 years, yeah. So it's sweet, it's got a spice to it. Not everyone likes spice, and there's a lot of children who are coming in here. Most kids don't like spice, so we also have it as a traditional side as well. We hand make our meatballs every day. We don't freeze them. So when you freeze something, it changes the texture, and it also water-based as well, so it tastes different. So we freeze nothing. We hand make the meatballs, we hand make the chicken every day, we hand make the burgers. We also, we make pastas. We have chicken parm, meatball parmesan, eggplant parmesan. We do a spicy chicken sandwich, sausage and peppers. We have chicken piccata, chicken marsala, eggplant roll-ups. We have flatbreads as well. We have mac and cheese. We have chicken tenders. We have everything you can possibly imagine that not only adults but children would want to eat. We are open 7 days a week, Monday to Sunday, right? Monday to Thursday, we are open from 11 to 9. And Friday and Saturday, we are open from 11 to 10. And Sundays, we're open from 11 to 9. But Sundays, between 11 and 3, we actually do brunch. And we do French toast, pancakes, waffles, egg mashup, egg sandwiches, bottomless sangria, mimosa, and we have a great time with live music. And then from 5 to 9, we do our regular menu again. We're located in Palm Beach Gardens, and we're in the LA Fitness Center, right on the corner of PGA Boulevard and the Turnpike. We have our website, plantbasedmafia.com. We're on Instagram. We're on, I believe, Twitter, Facebook. Be sure to come and check us out. Things are changing quite often. We also just purchased a food truck as well. We're doing a lot of events. We were just recently in Miami, West Palm Beach. Last night we were in Wellington, Florida as well. We're kind of going up and down the coast and doing a lot of events, but we do we post our dates that we're going to be at certain places, so come down anytime. But we also do some changes on the menu. And if those things change, you'll see them change online as well. And if times will ever change too, like the hours of the restaurant, that will also be updated on the website as well, so check it out.